No, that can't just be it. We need some more gravitas up in here. This is the final episode of Farthing Wood, for crying out loud. I mean, yeah, the journey to it this series hasn't exactly been brilliant, but we need some more fanfare up in this bitch, come on. Oh, yes. That's more like it. Anyway, final episode. We know the weasels have just returned to the park to help fight off the rats, and Owl and her new mate are about to enter the park boundaries as well. It's all about to kick off, and the final battle will be underway soon. Who will win at this epic war? The animals or the rats? Well, let's find out, shall we? The episode starts off with Owl spotting Bully heralding his rat army for one final assault on the animals. An army that seems significantly smaller than what we last saw at the end of the last episode. What the hell happened, Bully? Did all the other ones say they couldn't be asked to get out of bed this morning? Or have you lot just come down with the plague? And before anybody comments, yes, I know that it's the fleas on rats that spread the plague, but the rats still get it regardless. If you were going into a place where there was the plague, and yes, it still does exist even to this day, just stay the hell away from the rats, capiche?
We shall attack the animals in our park and kill the lot! Don't matter what they are, foxes, rabbits, moles, toads, or weasels!
This is a serious matter.
Good to see that Owl still holds the highly decorated and highly unrespected rank of Captain Obvious. Also, it doesn't hold very well for your plan, Bully, when just the word weasel causes your army to go into a blind panic. That's like if in the British Empire days the army wet themselves at the sound of the phrase men with spears, and trust me, the whole weasel thing will truly come to a head when the final battle comes. Owl flies off, leaving Hollow behind to keep an eye on the rats, while she tries to find her friends and end the rat menace once and for all. But before that, we get this scene.
I didn't say you were irritating.
Yes, you did.
I just said that I find it irritating when you eat worms while sitting on my back.
You want me to starve, that's it. Has there ever been a more cruel badger?
But I'm kind.
Or not.
As stupid as this scene is, it is actually a little bit sweet because it's one of the last times that Mossy gets a focus on him in the whole series. It's a stupid scene, yeah, but it's still a better send-off than his old man got. Of course, when Owl comes back in, it's great to see her back with the gang, just like old times. So much so that Fox doesn't even bat an eye to first hearing her voice for the first time in a couple of months.
Typical. The whole world is falling down about your whiskers, and there you are lazing about in the sun. Absolutely typical behaviour.
Oh, Owl, do stop nagging. Owl! Owl, it's you! You're back!
And of course, Weasel comes back in a bit of convenient timing, so what's left of the old guard is back together once again. Yay!
Ow! Ow! You're back too! Oh, I'm sorry about what I said. About you being too cold-hearted and old and tatty ever to attract a mate. I really am very sorry.
Yes. Well, I forgive you.
But I see that even though you've been away all summer, you still didn't manage to find one.
Ooh, getting catty, are we? Even though you're a weasel and an owl, but still, sick burn once again. That's 2-0 to Weasel there, Owl. She still got one over you on the first episode. Come up with a good retort. Get back at her.
Well, actually... this is Hollow.
Good retort. 2-1.
My mate.
What, has Weasel got a sound man in her head? What was with that church bell noise? That's the kind of sound you'd normally use if you give someone a bonk on their head. Or somewhere a bit more tender.
I thought I wasn't seeing things. The shadow of an owl across the surface of the pond. Owl! And you found a mate.
Oh, Ada, my old friend. How I've missed our chats.
Oh, the Mistresses of Mayhem are back. Just don't mention anything about a mate to her.
We'll have to find you a mate next, old girl.
What did I just say?
Ada had a mate, a fine, handsome snake called Sinuous.
He was so very sinuous.
But the rats killed him.
Oh, my foolish beak. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to...
It's all right, Owl. You weren't to know.
So now we've gotten the reunions out of the way, rather quickly at that, which is a shame, but we do have a lot to get to in this episode. Plucky and Charmer, I think. Odd pair, aunt and nephew, but whatever. Tell the others that the rats are just about to attack all of them. Out of ideas, the animals consult Spike for advice.
Spike, you're a rat. Have you any suggestions which may help us?
Predator and prey working together? What is this? Zootopia? I knew a lot of you were waiting for that one all series, and just in case it wasn't enough, here's a picture of Nick Wilde and Fox having coffee. Allow its sheer fan serviceness to soak into your retinas. Soak it up! Soak it up, I tell you! Unfortunately, at this point, they're so outnumbered from what I could only consider about a handful of rats, judging by the last scene, that they can't come up with a plan, not even Al, and even Spike says that there's no hope left.
They'll come at us from all sides at once. If we hide in the burrows, we'll find they're already there waiting for us. They'll jump at us from out of the trees. I'm sorry, Fox, Toad, but there's really no chance. We can't win. Bully knows what he's doing. He'll kill us all.
Well, we're once again fucked, and just when things were starting to get better in this series. Well, you didn't have to rub it in that much. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks about that. Not the least of which because they got Bully's colour wrong. Actually, to be honest, that was pretty awesome. It's nice to see the animators stretch their metaphorical legs a bit and just have some creativity and fun with what they've got. Even if it is just for this last episode. Seriously though, having more dream sequences like that might have made this series a bit more better. Random nightmare fuel aside, it is actually rather interesting to see the animals without hope for once. They've been in dire straits before, but every time at least one of them has had optimism and some kind of plan, whereas here they all seem to have given up hope. This is really the only time we've had the we're all doomed moment like this. Even if the threat in question isn't presentably intimidating as the previous ones.
Perhaps he doesn't want to fight. Perhaps he just wants to frighten us away. I suppose it's possible. Perhaps if I had a word with him, I could appeal to his better nature.
Oh, Huckle, you say such silly things.
Testify, sister!
But just when all seems lost, Plucky comes up with a plan.
Look, if they're going to attack from all sides, what we need to do is get behind them and surprise them. If we're lucky, we can force them into the pond.
Brilliant, Plucky.
We can go along the stream. Swim it if we have to, come out at the boundary fence and then re-enter the park from wherever we like.
Good one, Plucky. The Orange Knight has done it again. Though it does make you think that if he's this clever, cunning and smart, why isn't he the main character of the series? Well, I'll get into that next episode. Plucky then tells Mossy to go and find Laird, telling them that the animals need their help. Though I would be cautious on whether or not he has time to do this, since he's probably going to spend most of his time chasing down the special these days.
Hi, buddy. I'm your friendly neighborhood police officer. Would you like a glass of water?
Yeah, actually.
Too bad.
So the animals get themselves ready, and Bully seems to be confused, or as he would say, confuserated, on where the animals are.
I don't understand. We've covered every inch of the park and hardly found a single animal to murder.
Perhaps they've run away, oh great one. You are victorious. Yeah.
It's ours. This lovely park, what I adores. Me and me lovely ratties will live here in perfect peace and happiness and have everything we want.
What's that I hear in the distance? Why, it's the sound of some chickens hatching, and it seems like one of them didn't hatch the way you counted it to, Bully. Though even if that was the case, do you really think that the stags and the warden are just going to leave you alone? The stags are going to keep fighting you no matter what, and even if you somehow got rid of them all, there would be no White Deer Park after that, just like the stag said last series. So the warden would just bulldoze the place to the ground, and you lot would be out there faster than a bunch of cockroaches in a New York apartment after the light comes on.
You turn on your light, and in your apartment there's 17 cockroaches by the refrigerator going, "Hello, my honey, hello, my mate."
Though if that did happen, I wonder what they would call this place after they built over it. White Town? Nah, that's what Yorkshire's called by the locals. And London by the EDL. But of course their celebration is cut short when the owls and herons distract the rats. Well, I say that, they actually just show off Hollow in mid-air and have a nice chat up there.
Whistler, Speedy, this is my new mate, Hollow.
Isn't he handsome?
Yes. Good morning. What?
Sense of urgency. Have you heard of it? But then again, I shouldn't be surprised. These guys all have the demeanour of a kind of landed gentry kind of person. They generally don't have a sense of urgency in a crisis like this. They just keep calm and carry on, as it were. And for those who think I might be offending people with that comment, when is an upper-class landowner ever going to watch one of my videos, eh? Eventually the birdemic descends onto the rats, and it sets off the battle for the park, as the title of the book this series was based on was so subtly implying there would be. But much like the Battle of Scarface, this is something that just needs to be seen to be believed. So I'll shut up, cue the battle music, and just let you watch it.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know the names? We are the people that can find whatever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your disease in the jungle.
Hello, I'm Huck. Perhaps I could have a few words with you.
Damn it, Hercule! You had to ruin it, didn't you? It was all going so well and awesome. Even the Weasel's got a bit of a badass moment, and then you pulled this shit out of the bag. This isn't Care Bears here. You can't talk the villain into giving up. And even then, they had those weird chest beam things, like a mix between Teletubbies and Dragon Ball Z. So unless you pull one of those out, I don't see this going your way.
I'm kind.
Kind, is it? So am I.
Thank you, Bully. Even someone like me who isn't the biggest Hercule hater, I can definitely say that this is the worst moment for him. It just takes us away from the lovely, lovely violence. It's not funny, it's just annoying. Now, if you please.
Come on, baby, eat the rich. But the bite of the son of a bitch. Don't listen, don't you give me no switch. Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Come on, baby, and eat the rich.
Oh. I got my fix for this year. It's great to see almost every character, even some of the more pathetic ones, with the exception of one, of course, throw caution to the wind and just get in there, tooth and claw style, literally in this case. And of course, Mossy's trying to get Laird to help out in fighting off the rats, though despite how much kinder he was than him, he's basically as proud as Trey used to be.
Now that I'm leader of the herd, things are going to be different around here. You will do what I say, or else. Who's the leader?
You are! You are!
I foresee very, very bad things in the future if Laird is acting like Bully to his herd.
Laird, you've got to come. Plucky said you know what to do. The rats! The rats! Hurry!
Can't you see I'm giving my hinds a pep talk? What a rude little mole you are.
But Laird does eventually agree and even allows Mossy to ride in his head. Oh, how sweet. But enough about that, let's get back to the fight. And we've already had 2 battle songs, so I think it's about time to break out an old favourite. I've used it every year so far for Farthing reviews, so I think it's about time we break it out one last time. You know what to do, meaty boy. And so, after the surprisingly quick stampede... Not now! Most of the rats are now dead, and the animals have won, despite all odds. Who had money on the animals win? That was 500 to 1 on. It's payday for whoever had that one, miladios. But Bully and Brat are still alive, and despite the fact that his army is dead, he still stands strong.
We'll keep on fighting till there's not a rat left alive.
Except me?
Except you, Spike.
Spike! You filthy, foxy-faced traitor!
I think that's the first time I've used a very modern meme in my own show. But Bully refuses to back down. He's going to keep fighting no matter what, and he's just got enough rats left to try and take down the Farthingwood gang. But now he's going to rue the day he ever set foot in White Deer Park. And we're going to rue the day we ever let the weasels back into the park. Now, before we get to the end of the battle, I should just explain something. Now, in the books, it was Vixen who killed off Bully by crushing him in her mouth and throwing his corpse over the park fence in a symbolic message of kicking the rats out of the park once and for all. But the writers, in their infinite wisdom, decided that it was too dark, despite the fact that a couple of foxes had already done that already in the series. But even so, this This is how Bully meets his end in this series.
Have you dropped something?
Dish that ear.
Oh yes, you just saw that. Cleo, one half of the most annoying characters ever to grace the series, just walked up to Bully, bit his tail off, and that's how he's been defeated. Okay, I'm alright now. Though seriously, what the fuck was that? This character who has done nothing but be completely and utterly annoying and useless for the whole series and hasn't done anything to do with the main storyline is the one who brought it to its conclusion? What? I get that it's to make it lighter from the books and also make the Weasel twins more endearing, but this is complete and utter rubbish. The last series ended with a war-addled fox being bitten to death by his torture victim, and the other side of the conflict ending the conflict between blue and red foxes. This is complete and utter rubbish, with the comic relief taking over the main story needlessly in a way that's not too different from the way Willem Dafoe was defeated in Anarchist, and leads to some vaguely genital-based humour about how Bully is quote-unquote shorter now. Also, is this why the rats were following Bully in the first place? Because he had the largest tail? If that's the case, why isn't Eamon Holmes in charge of ITV in that regard? And besides which, this doesn't fix the problem. In the books, the rats were scared off by the horror of seeing their leader getting horrifically murdered and ran away. Here, the rats don't go with Bully after Brat drags him off. They're still there. You still have a rat problem, guys. This is one of the worst deviations from book to show in the whole series, and it exemplifies everything that's wrong with the Farthingwood TV series as a whole. It's overly kid-friendly, it neuters the original writings, it shoves unnecessary comic relief in your face, and it takes the focus away from where it should be, that being about Fox and the original Farthingwood gang who travelled to White Deer Park in the first place. Can you see why people don't like this series?
Shall we go back to the sewers, boss? Nice, smelly sewers, eh?
You're a good boy, Brett. Yeah. Let's go back where we belong. We're those nice human beings.
The human beings
who look after us.
But almost an immediate response to that, we now get an epilogue that actually exemplifies the best parts of the TV series, and much like Dragon Ball GT, the best part of this series is the very last bit, so let us enjoy it.
I've asked you all here to this place because there's something I want to say. We've won our battle against the rats. White Deer Park is ours now. We can live here in perfect peace and practice the ideals we brought here from Farthingwood. Our troubles are over, for the time being anyway.
I like how he added that last bit in, even though there wasn't a Series 4. Though there were plans to make a Series 4, but I'll get into that next time. But there are going to be problems no matter how much peace there seems to be, but do carry on, Fox.
But I am old.
No.
Well, colour me shocked. I never would have guessed. All you've done in this series is sleep, complain, and act like you're tired. That's not like an old person at all.
It's time for me to step down as your leader.
Fox, you can't.
But you're the legendary Fox.
Vixen, I've been thinking about this all summer, and my decision is final. Plucky will be your new leader.
Thanks for not discussing this highly important decision with your mate, Fox.
Me? Why Plucky? Why not me?
Ranger, you're the bravest and finest fox there is. But Plucky is my grandson. Through him, you have a direct link with the original spirit of Farthing Wood.
Another reference to the books there, because in the books Ranger was actually made the leader instead of Plucky, but I actually think Plucky makes more sense. He's younger and he's proven his worth as being as good, if not arguably better than Fox was in his prime throughout this series, so Plucky as the leader I think just makes more sense. Sorry Ranger, but you'll always have Charmer. And your Saturday night talk show. All my snark aside, this is genuinely one of the greatest moments in Farthing Wood history and feels like the perfect bookend to the series, which is perfectly capped with a montage of moments from Series 1, and it's a brilliant touch that makes me, and even some other Farthing Wood fans, feel genuinely sentimental when we watch it, and for me especially, since much like Al's subplot, it reminds me of all the great memories I've had making this review series. But as for Plucky, after the revelation is revealed, I think he's slowly starting to regret it.
My own cub. I'm so proud.
Can I be second in command?
No, that should be me.
I should be. I'm the cleverest.
I think the kindest should be leader.
Well, whatever you do, don't put this guy in second in command. Oh, and then out of nowhere, Trey shows up to resolve the secondary wildlife sanctuary subplot. Remember that? No, me neither, but here's the purpose for it anyway.
They mended my leg and put me in another park, not far from here. Yes, I was there. The walls are pulled down and they're moving the fence that surrounds White Deer Park. They're making this park and that park into one great big park, twice the space. No need for me to be bad-tempered anymore. There's plenty of room for us all. This is wonderful news, Trey.
It would be if it had been alluded to more in the series. I mean, I do remember one or two situations where they said they might have been overcrowded, and to be fair, that's why the weasels left in the first place, but it's not like the overcrowding problem in China, and like I said before, we barely saw the other park and it was quickly forgotten about. I'm not saying they should have taken this out, but we could have at least had more focus on it, and another reason why the weasels subplot didn't need to happen! But regardless, the series ends, much like the end of Series 1, with a beautiful view of the new park and the final note in this amazing story about a group of woodland creatures fleeing from danger and finding peace. A strange tale to be sure, but an amazing one in so many ways, is finally put to an end.
We can explore our big new park tomorrow, and then we will plan how to live together in perfect peace and harmony, in the true spirit of Farthing Wood.
So, what to make of this series finale? Well, in all honesty, it's a little hard to gauge what to think about this one in comparison to the last two. If we compare, the first series' last episode was a bit unfocused and most of it had little to do with the main story, but it was still enjoyable to watch regardless. And the final episode of Series 2 was great, if a bit abrupt in resolving all of its subplots, but managed to resolve them all regardless. This episode falls somewhere in the middle, and it keeps its focus in resolving everything, arguably better than Series 2 did in some regards, but most of it is extremely anticlimactic, and as I expounded upon greatly before, some of the characters who had major roles in this series barely get any time or attention, or in some cases even a line, whereas ones we really don't care about get more attention than they deserve. It's mixed to say the least, but most of the final battle and the final scene do make it very enjoyable to watch, and arguably more satisfying than most TV show endings. Anyway, that may be the end of Farthing Wood, but it's not the end of Farthing Wood reviews, as many of you know, so join me next week when I'll be going into the overview episodes. But now, I've had enough of this, I'm going on the other side to have a bath. Bye! Lower it down, I don't need it that high anymore. I'm not going to be wearing that cowboy hat. ruffle my shirt in the best way so it doesn't show off my man boobs. It's such a bizarre effect because I think I've mentioned before on a blooper that there's a mirror right in front of where I'm sitting, and I have the viewfinder facing me so that I can see what I look like, so I don't look at the mirror because that means I'd be looking above the camera, so if I look into the viewfinder it looks more like I'm looking at you guys, but I see both what I'm doing in the viewfinder and what I'm doing in the mirror, so it's like some kind of bizarre, weird Clockwork Orange thing where I see what I'm doing at multiple perspectives. Damn it, Huckle! You had to ruin it, didn't you? Oh, my back.